My name is William David Gatling. I'm at the Institute of Military Technology to share my experience flying the Curtiss P-40 Warhawk during World War II. Japan bombed Pearl Harbor in Hawaii.
We have witnessed this morning a severe bombing of Pearl Harbor by enemy planes.
There were 350 men killed in a direct bomb hit on the barracks at Hickam Field.
President Roosevelt says that the Japanese have attacked Pearl Harbor in Hawaii from the air.
An Army recruiting sergeant came through my hometown in Tarboro, North Carolina. He was really giving me a lot of good information, and I enlisted on the 27th of October, 1942. I had applied for aviation flight training, but had not received a response to my request. Congress passed a public law number 99, which allowed the Army Air Corps to accept enlisted personnel that were already in the service and physically qualified to volunteer for flight training.
Future pilots, navigators, the boys who were needed to command the air over enemy territory, to keep the invasion smashing on its way.
Well, that was just what I wanted, so I volunteered and was accepted. After graduating from basic flight training, I was assigned to advanced flight training at Spence Field in Moultrie, Georgia. I graduated from flying school as an enlisted Staff Sergeant pilot with the Aviation Cadet Class 42I on the 9th of October, 1942. I was then assigned to the 315th Fighter Squadron at Grenier Field, Manchester, New Hampshire. We received orders from the War Department for the air echelon of the 315th Fighter Squadron, 27 pilots and 1 flight surgeon, for further assignment to an unknown destination. We didn't know where we were going or what we were going to do. We were to be informed later. Pan American Airlines sent 2 4-engine aircraft to the 36th Street Airport in Miami to pick up the 315th Fighter Squadron Air Echelon. These Pan Am pilots had to go to South America, to Natal, Brazil, and flew us to Accra, Ghana, on the west coast of Africa. We learned from hearsay that we were going to fly 27 P-40 Warhawks across the dense jungles of Africa to the Nile River, follow the Nile River north to Cairo at the Suez Canal. We couldn't believe what we were hearing. That is not possible. Some way the British had hauled thousands of gallons of aviation fuel into 3 locations across the west coast of Africa. There's no railroad tracks and there's nothing to tell you where those sites are. We didn't even have any maps or anything. And that's what we had to do, is get to those sites where you can get fuel. It was very simple. Small twin-engine light bombers with a celestial navigator on board. That light aircraft led the P-40s to the refueling site. The pilots had to break in their own aircraft engine, to get it operating properly. They had to take off with just enough throttle to get off the ground and then throttle back to maintain your flight without stalling, The P-40s needed maintenance and the pilots needed some combat familiarization. We'd never fired our guns before. There were 6 50 caliber Browning machine guns mounted in the P-40 Warhawk. That was 3 in each wing. British pilots had P-40s also. They showed us how to fly shatter gunnery missions. One aircraft would take off and fly 500 feet above the desert sand, casting a good shatter, and his buddy would come in and shoot at that shatter that was moving along the desert. So we got some training that way. I think I flew 2 shatter gunnery missions and 2 practice dive bombing missions before going into combat. The 315th was the last squadron of the 324th Fighter Group to enter combat. We were there to support the British 8th Army. And the British had called in and said there was an enemy naval destroyer at sea and requested that we take some action. On the 30th of April, 1943. That was my 4th combat mission. The armament people pulled the fuel tanks off 12 P-40s and hung a 500-pound bomb to dive bomb this destroyer. We were flying at about 7,500 feet. The flight leader called Echelon Right. We had to arm our bombs before we made this Echelon Right. The procedure is always to reach down on the floorboard and pull the cable that allowed the bomb to detonate. The leader peeled off and the other aircraft followed about 2 to 3 seconds after the leader, and then each one would wait about 2 to 3 seconds before starting his dive bomb run. We didn't know all the dive bombing characteristics of the P-40 Warhawk at that time. Most of the bombs were hitting out to the right. When these aircraft are built, that's all single-engine aircraft. The vertical stabilizer on the tail of the aircraft near the rudder was offset a few degrees to make the aircraft fly straight at the designed cruising airspeed of the aircraft. 230 miles an hour was about the designed cruising speed. As long as it was flying at that 230, the aircraft would fly straight, overcoming the left engine torque. The left engine torque would try to pull the aircraft to the left, and the vertical stabilizer counteracted that. As the airspeed increased, the higher the airspeed, the more it would pull to the right. That was what was causing the bombs to detonate to the right. We saw the destroyer and started tracking towards her. As I tracked in, I was using my left inboard 50 caliber machine gun as an aid to tracking straight towards the destroyer. Tracers coming out from that destroyer. It looked like yellow tracers Coming out from a small barrel, just kept expanding, as they zipped by the cockpit. As I was in my dive bomb, and I knew I had to do something quick at high speed. 900 feet, you're getting pretty low. You got to pull out quick. I guess I was scared and didn't know it. Well, that was unbelievable. Within a second, I made a decision. Kick hard left rudder and pull your bomb release handle. Trying to toss the bomb to the left. And as I pulled up and looked back over my left shoulder, I saw the bomb hit in the middle of the deck. That's about all there was to the destroyer. I was 21 years old at that time. I always had a lot of respect for the P-40 Warhawk. It was a good flying aircraft, easy to fly. It always got me there and got me home.